Hey, baseball fans. Tim Lowry with you for the final installment of eMLB's Top 10 right now. Today, we're going to talk about center fielders as we wrap up our 2031 offseason. This was a very competitive list. In Out of the Park, it seems very difficult to find a center fielder who plays the outfield well enough and hits well enough to be a substantial talent. We're going to go through some of these guys today. Here's our top 10. Let's start right away with number 10, and is from the world champion St. Louis Cardinals, Andrew O'Quinn. 280, 333, 430 slash line. You see the profile. He is average at best offensively, plus skills with avoiding K, but is primarily the speed and defense guy. You see the speed is above average, definitely. Has great stealing ability, stole 24 this past season. Kind of really came into his own after the trade from Philadelphia. The defense is elite, great range, very sure-handed. Stole 24 bases, hit over 300 in 2029. Overall, kind of feel like the 280s to 300s is about the range you're going to see him in. In overall defense zone rating, he finished third, sixth in defensive efficiency, was the NL Divisional Series MVP for that series. And we like to have comps. Andrew O'Quinn comps very closely to Chris Singleton, who played for the White Sox at the turn of this century. And of the old Gas House Gang St. Louis Cardinals from back in the late 30s, he comps very closely to Terry Moore. And I saw that name and it kind of made me smile because back in the days when I played a lot of Stratomatic, Terry Moore was one of those guys who always seemed to be on base, driving in the game-winning run. Was a lot of fun playing there. Andrew O'Quinn, number 10 in our list of center fielders right now. Moving on to number 9, and it is an institution in Cincinnati, Trey Griffey. Third generation of Griffeys to play in Cincinnati. 271, 346, 494 slash line, at 33 homers, 89 RBIs. You could say he was down across the board offensively. Average to above average ratings, mostly. The power, what jumps out at you here, plus ability there. Elite center field defense, and rates out with plus speed. The stealing ability is off the charts, and he had 35 steals, career high this past season. Griffey is consistently one of the best performers for Cincinnati, and Cincinnati has had great years and bad years, and he has just been very stable for them. We don't think about him primarily with defense, but he had an 18.8 zone rating, which finished 4th in eMLB. So he more than holds his own there. Compares very favorably to Barry Bonds Jr., Ed Brown, and Danny Smith Jr. As a matter of fact, 8 of the 9 that he comps to are CCPs. By age, the season that he most compared to was Willie Mays in his age 26 season. Trey Griffey is our number 9 center fielder in all of eMLB. Moving on to number 8, another CCP. In fact, probably wouldn't surprise you to know that all 10 of our players here are CCPs. It is Jack Trainer of the Texas Rangers. 309, .405, .492 slash line. His third exceptional year for Texas. Just a tremendous offensive talent. Down a little bit in homers, did not hit as many. He's usually in the 35 homer range. But it is the power and the eye that grab our scouts' attention. The eye especially, phenomenal, up to 92 walks. He is a 5-tool player, above average defense and above average in stealing a base. He was 4th in walks this year, hit quite a bit of leadoff. And when this is your leadoff guy, you're gonna do a lot of damage. He's getting on base, and when the opportunity comes, he also drives in runs. So, honestly, rates out more of a corner outfielder than almost anybody on this list. Yeah, he finished 26th in zone rating and 28th in defensive efficiency. So it is the offense that got him here. There's probably one other case in this top 10 that mimics that. We'll talk about him in a minute. But Jack Trainer is a phenomenal player. All of his comps are CCPs. The one he's closest to is Cardinals catcher Matthew Bellows. By age, first 2 years of his career, he comped closely to Ed Brown. And age 23, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. So, Jack Trainer, number 8 center fielder in all of the eMLB right now. Let's go to number 7. And our number 7 is Billy Downtown Anderson of the New York Mets. Tremendous slash line, 292, 362 for the on base, 532 for slugging. Had his just a phenomenal year, 30 homers, 83 RBIs. You think of a 5-tool player in New York City, of course he is going to be a fan favorite. Above average across the board. Power is the most recognizable plus tool here. Can steal very well. The defense has improved dramatically over the past several years. He's also cut down on his strikeouts considerably. If you look in 2028, he struck out 163 times. And although he had about 70 fewer plate appearances, yeah, he's struck out almost 50 times less. So he's growing into that talent. He's at or near his peak, although some of our scouts think he could still hit for better contact and drive his average up. So maybe he is potentially a 30-homer, 100 RBI kind of guy. It's going to be interesting to see what he does in the next couple of years. Defensively, he was 10th in zone rating with a 13.16, was tied for 3rd among all center fielders in assists with 12. Comps out to Mac Jones, who played for the Braves in the mid-60s and also was part of the expansion Montreal Expos from back in the 1960s, not our current expansion Expos. And also comps to Reggie Smith, and I really see that comp in this profile. And if you've played out of the park for quite a few years, Reggie Smith and OOTP just get along. He is almost the premier profile for out of the park. Billy Anderson is too. He is our number 7 center fielder in eMLB right now. Let's move along to number 6. And our number 6 is Trevor Gretzky. Finally, people have been wondering after left field and first base and everything else. It's like, when are we going to get to see Gretzky? Gretzky played most of his innings in center field this past season. Hit 311, 405, 580. just a tremendous year, had his best OPS number, 6.9 WAR, 37 homers, 103 RBIs. Great all-around hitter. Does everything well, and it is driven by his knowledge of the strike zone, and he's able to figure out what's coming and what to do with it. Hits line drives everywhere. Played most of his career at first base. It feels like the outfield is going to be a permanent destination for him now. Now that Merriman is gone, now that Bracamontes is in, he is not the answer defensively, clearly. He does have above average skills, and even as a center fielder, rates out to be above average. But when in comparison to the rest of the league, as measures like zone rating do, you really kind of pops up. He had a negative 7.4 zone rating in comparison to the rest of the league. Well, it's clearly his bat and the offensive WAR that are getting the job done. That said, it's a great profile for him. And Trevor Gretzky, one of the leaders in Toronto. All of his comps are, surprise, first baseman, Sean Thornton, Slambino, and Ismael Bracamontes. Again, that non-CCP that always manages to get into CCP conversations. Trevor Gretzky is our number 6 center fielder in eMLB right now. All right, we're halfway through. So let's move on to our number 5. And our number 5 center fielder is Houston's Sammy Isla. 313, 387, 481. Love this player. Superb contact. Can hit with authority, is not often fooled. You see the strikeout rate, how it plummeted, was consistently just right around 100, and then this year fell off to 85. The power grades out as average, but with the speed and the ability to steal, stole 25 of 29 bases this past season. Great range, very sure-handed center fielder as well. Only the arm keeps Sammy from being really considered an elite center fielder, but has never hit below 300. Had an 18.5 zone rating, was 5th in the eMLB in that. A couple of these comps here I see. Rusty Greer, Yuna Kim, the one that I was kind of like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Grady Sizemore. I feel very strongly about that. Grady Sizemore, very similar to Sammy Isla. Also by age, Sammy comps to Andrew McCutchen. So Sammy Isla is our number 5 center fielder in the eMLB right now. Let's go to number 4. And it is the Queen of Diamonds herself, San Diego's Yuna Kim. 281, 356, 458 slash line. 23 homers, 87 RBIs. Consistent, exceptional contact and eye. I feel like that 281 batting average is the floor of Yuna's talent. I don't see her hitting much lower than this ever. And looking at the splits and everything, nothing really jumped out there as to why. But, it is a range. The tool is there, however, and has a lot of potential to grow. Backfields Media feels that Yuna's going to win at least 1, if not 2 or 3 batting titles before her career is over. She's getting into that prime, those prime years. The defense, Yuna can get to any ball. In center, in the gaps, just an elite. You are looking at the number one center fielder in zone rating with a 27.87 zone rating. In defensive efficiency, led the league 1.109 in center field. Won her fourth Gold Glove, as you see there in the chart, and in 5 seasons. Had 6 leadoff homers in 2030. Comps to Barry Allen, Barry Bonds Jr., and also Sammy Isla. So this, the center fielders are all kind of sticking together here. Una Kim is our number 4, and I would not be surprised to see her move up this list as the years continue on. Let's go to number 3. And our number 3 center fielder in eMLB is the Angels' Barry Allen. 296, 389, slugged over 500 again, 514. Had similar extra base hit numbers in total. Homers dropped off by about 10. The doubles went up by 10. Not sure if this was how pitchers were pitching him or whether a slight change in approach. Works either way. The K rate plummeted. You see only 87, whereas before it's been up in the hundreds. The batting eye, the contact, the BABIP has just improved year over year. Still can. The eye is what drives a lot of this and the ability to not strike out. So making good contact, hitting it, sometimes hitting the pitcher's pitch with authority. The spray chart was pretty impressive too, all over the outfield. Barry can get hits. We're burying the lead a little bit too with somebody nicknamed the Flash. Incredible stolen base ability, elite at that. Came back after leading the league in 2029 with 53 steals to 40, but also cut the caught stealing rate in half. And defensively, very good player. Excellent ratings on defense, 7th in zone rating. The range factor was off a little bit, and that's just a count of how many plays per game Barry Allen makes. Ranked 50th compared to center fielders. And I don't know if that's trend or whether that is something that is, just kind of an outlier for the year. One of the things that we will be watching as the season begins and progresses to see whether that trend, see if Barry is going to get to a few more balls this year. Comps out very well to Una Kim, Barry Bonds Jr., EVC, Edgar Von Cola, and by age compares to Una Kim. Has over 200 stolen bases so far in his career. Got a ways to catch Ricky, but this is one of the elite stolen base players in eMLB. Barry Allen is our number 3 center fielder in all of baseball right now. And that takes us to number 2. And maybe a slight upset here. Danny Smith Jr. is our number 2 center fielder in all of eMLB. Had a 305, 404, 495 slash line, 22 homers. The homers were down a little bit. The doubles stayed kind of where they expect to be. Danny has been an all or nothing type player in terms of power. The gap power has always been kind of a trailing thing with him. Has a lot to do with the bat speed and the ability to drive the ball. Had 33 stolen bases in 2029, was up to 40 stolen bases this past season. One of the things that jumped out in the numbers was the number of pitches per plate appearances dropped off significantly. So Danny was a lot more aggressive, swinging early in the counts. His power and eye are among the best in the game. If you look up in the baseball dictionary, five-tool player, you will probably see Danny's picture there. An elite defender in all categories. Can get to everything, has a tremendous arm, can play any of the outfield positions. Had a 15.2 zone rating, which finished 8th, was 5th in defensive efficiency. And that says more to the overall talent in the league, I think, than it is an indictment of Danny. You see these ratings and you would think that he'd be right up there with Yoona Kim in terms of Gold Gloves and everything else. But Danny Smith is just a phenomenal talent. His top 6 comps are all CCPs, and they have been on this list and in other lists. Griffey, Allen, Kim, Rob Deere Jr., Ed Brown. By age, Danny compares to legendary Giants outfielder Mel Ott from the 1920s. He's got all of these superlatives around his career and his talent, and yet he is still only 24 years old as we approach opening day here. Danny Smith is our number 2 center fielder in all of eMLB right now, which means we have a new number 1. And that number 1 is Barry Bonds Jr. And if you watched him in Pittsburgh last season, you probably shouldn't be surprised. Hit .321, .429, .592 slugging, 35 homers, 21 stolen bases, 33 doubles, had 173 WRC plus. This was by far the best year of his career. And it's that eye and power that seem to be talked about a lot when we're talking about these great players. These guys can pick the pitch up quickly and can drive it with authority. Barry can hit it everywhere, has above average contact and gap power, has plus stealing ability, has elite defensive ratings, has really great range, is a phenomenal center fielder. His walk rate, if you look at it, in 2029, he drew 54 walks. In 2030, he walked 95 times. And yeah, he played 26 more games, but the number of plate appearances the increase in plate appearances don't factor into the walk totals as much. He still was a little more patient, waited for his pitch, or simply just trotted down to first. He's approaching his prime, could still probably improve a little bit more in contact. And even then, you're looking at somebody who's going to hit 300. Had a phenomenal year. 11.43 zone rating. He only finished 11th, but still only had 1 error despite that. The top 7 CCPs that he compares to were all in this list. Allen, Griffey, Kim, players like that. Barry Bonds is the number 1 center fielder in eMLB, and thus, you could say, of extremely elite talent in all of baseball. That concludes this and all of the top 10 lists. We are approaching opening day, and you can join us on Twitch and see how the 2031 eMLB season plays out. We have games on Tuesday and Thursday night, 7 o'clock. Sunday, 10 a.m., coffee with the commish for another game. We have an opening day triple header coming this Sunday. Please join us. You will enjoy it. You too can have a created player in this league, and perhaps next season one of your players could make the top 10. You can also subscribe to the official eMLB YouTube that's mentioned down below. I want to thank everyone for all of their kind comments, thoughts for improvement, other things they would like to see. Can kind of break a little bit of news here that we're going to be spending the next few episodes dealing with prospects, both overall and by teams, as well as a look at the 2031 eMLB Amateur Draft. Comprehensive list of that event is coming up as well. Plus, as of other things show up, you can hop into the Discord and the Backfields Media channel, see what's hot, see what the news is. We will see you there. Again, this is Tim Lowry thanking you for your watching and your participation, and hope you have a great 2031 season, and we will see you next time.